So welcome everybody. I am Darcy Ladwig. I'm with Peace Northwest Home, and we have a special guest tonight and some of her people. Marla Gar is here, and she's going to share with us about her circle of support and how she's utilizing that, and actually her son's circle of support. And so go ahead and take it away, Marla.
Oh, good. Well, I guess I'll start at the beginning. So in 2020, I looked back in 2020, parenting by myself. I'm a widow, and I had moved into a new area from where he was raised. And I knew I had to do something because I couldn't do it alone. It takes a village. And I had read an excerpt of a woman in Illinois that had pulled together a circle of support for her child. And she went into how detail on the people that she chose, why she chose them, and how it helped her and her family, and became the avenue that they could turn when they ran into trouble with any services for their person. So I said, well, they did it, and that's exactly what I need. So I did it. It was a little bit daunting at first to reach out to people and put yourself on the line like that to say, I need help. And I need people that know my son, and I need people, because I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and people that know him, know my family, know the dynamics of what has happened. And so I reached out to slowly, so to different people. So, and in fact, Monica, that's here, she was his aide in school the last 4 years, I believe, from 10th grade, from 10th grade on. Right, Monica? Oop, can't hear you. Your sound is off. Anyway, Monica was one that was an old standard, and she embraced it. And I kept reaching out and found this group of people that were more than willing to come together in the sake of Sean. Becky is kind of new to the group, but she's this angel that landed here that supports Sean. She doesn't really, well, she supports me too, but she's an angel that comes and takes Sean, an unpaid provider that comes and takes him into the community with him. And that shows the dedication and love that she has for Sean. And so this group, that's how it all started. And so it's changed over time. People have come and gone out of the group. I tried to bring providers in, paid providers in early on. That was a mistake. I probably shouldn't have done that because they move, right? They move on. And Circle has become intimate in our meeting. When we talk, we know each other now because it's been going for a while. And so we talk more intimately. So having a paid provider come in that's new, and then they leave, they go with them, they take this sensitive information. Oh, there's Michelle. Good. Hi, Shell. So anyway, I was really blessed that they all jumped on it, and I didn't have to feel well, I was very humbled. Anyway, it was hard. That was the hardest part of getting Circle, was that reaching out. And how do I approach these people? And then having an agenda. The first meeting, I was like, I don't know. I just need you guys all here. So it was really hard at first to form the group, to congeal it. And I had to start being a one-man show, talking nonstop about what Sean's capacities are, what he does in a day, what his doctor is, what he does at the doctor's office, what he does with work, how he responds, so that everybody was on the same page. So that's how the group got started, and where we, maybe the first third or fourth meeting, we formed a mission statement. that we've more recently revisited and changed it up a little bit. Because as we've grown together, the mission statement has changed. We've ended up adding to it and making it more concise to what we want. We've also started into more sensitive conversations about this. The purpose of one of the purposes of the circle is what'll happen if I would drop dead tomorrow or tonight, and starting a call tree and the circle of supports that'll go around that. Who does what, when, where, how does that all come together? That's been more difficult for me to listen to, but necessary, and it's been embraced. And it just is, yeah, it's good. So that's how our circle works. Monica, is your voice working? No. Michelle, are you there?
I am, Marla. I just got done with clients and I have to finish up a little bit of work and deal with a husband who had surgery today. So I'm going to be off screen for most of the time, but I'll try to pop on as soon as I can take care of these next steps. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so I don't, that's the totality. So I guess if you had questions, it'd help me know what more information for Circle of Support would be helpful to have.
I want to know from from Sean's circle, kind of what keeps them coming back? Like, how do you, like, what got them there, and then what keeps them coming back, and how are they so committed to this gentleman?
All right, I'll jump in for a second here. Well, Marla would be probably one of the primary reasons, and then Sean would be the second, followed by me and the rest of the team. It's wonderful to be part of a committed team. And it's wonderful whether you are a paid provider, which I was when I got started as his speech therapist way back when he was, I don't know, 5 or so, and Marla tracked me down and, snagged me with something. But Marla had the skill of being able to pull people in, let them know they were appreciated, but even more so, let them know how much they were needed because they fit the needs of this particular young man. Being there across time with a couple people like Monica and Zach, one of the reasons I think that we see some of that longevity in our team, and Monica, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that we have quality, good people who have passionately cared for this kid and this family for many years. The new people that Marla brings in, I think that they see a little bit of the passion within that core. And I think the core starts with maybe 1 or 2 people. And that's where whoever the leader is, perhaps each of you comes in to bring one person in, and you start talking about the passion that you have for this individual and the potential for this individual's life and the challenges that could be faced. And then as you bring a new person in, they get the sense of where these other people are coming from. And it builds on itself a little bit. Marla, am I touching on any of it correctly here?
Yes. Yep. Monica, thumbs up too.
Monica, do you know how to use the chat?
Yes.
Oh,
Can you hear
Here's
me?
your voice.
Oh, finally. Woo. I know I use chat too. It's fun.
And Sally asked in the chat how many people there are on our chat. There's 11 right now. And they consist of his case manager, a doctor, his sister, a cousin, his speech therapist, his behaviorist, 2 family friends, I'm missing somebody. Um, anyway, it's kind of a full gauntlet across between clinical people and family.
And
Mo-
you
Monica's
done
one of his
magic number?
educators.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Monica's one of his educators who has just changed the approach to education. Is that correct, Monica?
Yeah, it sounds pretty broad, actually. Changing the approach to education. It's so
Is
much nice.
education.
Yeah, it's so much nicer to be one-on-one with somebody who we just have fun when we're chatting and Zooming every week. So I just do what I feel like I can push him to do. And if I can't push him, I like, okay, let me back off a second and see if I can get him to calm down and try something different or.
Oh, that's what something that happened with the formation of Circle is now individuals within Circle are directly involved on a day-to-day. Monica meets with him weekly, so does Michelle, and so does Rebecca. So these are people that otherwise weren't there. I mean, they were, but not on this regular basis, not in the depth. And then when we go to Circle, we discuss those aspects of what's good, what's bad, what can we change, how can we help him be more independent, how can we focus a lot on speech because he's nonverbal. We meet right now every other month, and we try to keep it in for an hour. It never makes that, but we try for 1 hour every other. And well, found it. No, there's no right number. The more right that Sean needs a lot of people in his life, just like we all do, and we need he needs every kind of person. And anybody who has sincere interest, like I said, I made the mistake early on of bringing providers in because I foolishly thought, of course they care. Not necessarily. And so I really shouldn't do that again. But if they showed vested, I don't know how else to say that, vested interest in Sean and wanted to be part of his life, then anybody. Yeah, I can share the mission statement. I brought his folder because we're non-techie. We don't store things. Well, over time now, Monica is our secretary, and she writes these awesome
Oh yeah.
notes from meetings. It's like, oh, I love it. So here's his mission statement.
That makes a huge difference too, is having those notes to reflect back on every couple of months. I think that brings us together as well.
I do too. So his mission statement is to help Sean secure his happiness and success, maintain his health and safety, ensure his behavior is understood as communication, support and act upon his attempts at self-advocacy, hear and respect his communication attempts, ensure his ability to make choices, and to support, this is the one that just got added, to support Sean in making transition into independent living. And those are.
That's great. Thank you. So you mentioned that Monica is secretary. So do you have president, vice president? No. Okay. I didn't know if you had.
It's just we were trying to, initially we tried to record on Zoom because Monica's in Wilbur, Washington. I don't, you guys, well, you would know where Wilbur is.
Oh, I grew up in Wilbur, Monica.
Oh my gosh. I did not.
My dad owned the Napa. My last name's Ladwig. So.
Oh my God. You were talking about George?
Oh no, before George.
Oh, before George, pre-George.
My dad was the owner before George. So he passed away in 2010, but my parents and their families lived there for all their life. And so I like Wilbur.
I'm with Jim Bauer, the Bauer family. He used to work for Larry Clark in the auto body place.
Okay. Yeah.
That's cool.
Small
So
world.
anyway, so in between that, and so they're spread out all through Washington State. So we always meet on Zoom, and we tried to record officially and tried to save that as so people could go back, but we're just not all techie enough to pull that off. And so we went to hard copy, of which that left me taking notes, and I'm really bad at it. And Monica's like a blessing. And and so she takes.
Thank you. You just do it. It's all good.
It's nice to have a note taker too, especially when you're probably the most vested person besides Sean in the conversation, and it's nice to have somebody else that's doing the note taking.
It is. It is.
I think that way Marla can concentrate on what she wants the group to talk about. And I just try to recap everything so we have some, like Michelle said, so we have something to look back at.
Mhm. It's true.
And we do push Marla. We've been, the last 2 months have been just meetings, which has been 4 months worth. We've just really been pushing her about how to get Sean at the age of 27 coming up to be able in case of an emergency. Who do you contact? So we're starting to look at maybe social stories and practicing and making it a habit for him that it's not going to be traumatic as much as what do I need to do? Because it'll be a habit. I think that's the word that Michelle was using.
Mhm.
So Marla's been very patient with us pushing her.
It's a hard
hard.
Need
conversation.
that. It is, yeah.
But it's
Sally has a
necessary.
question for you too.
I have two questions.
Okay.
Do you have official or unofficial term limits, or do you kind of reach out every year and just make sure everybody's still able to serve in that role? And then so does Sean go to the meetings?
Sean shows up at the meetings and says hi to everybody, and then he freaks out like it's way too much information, and he's out. But he does come in and say hi, especially all his favorites are here, Michelle and Monica, all his people. And I wouldn't mind that. I wish he would sit through them, but his attention. It's a Seanism that he won't probably do that. No, there's no term limits. If people aren't comfortable being there anymore, I feel like this group, they would just say, I can't be supportive, or their life got busy, or whatever happened. Life happens. But so far that hasn't happened.
That's part of the meeting every 2 months. You get a good sense of where people are, and each person has a different situation going on in their lives. So sometimes one person may be more available than another person. And that's why having this breadth of number of people is kind of helpful for the family.
It's very rare in our circle that everybody shows up. I would say, well, this last time I don't know, just maybe 1 or 2 didn't show up, but yeah, for the most part, it's probably 7 or 8 that in any given meeting out of the 11 or 12 that are circle.
You mentioned about Sean being at the meeting. This is Monica. Occasionally he will, like Marla will invite him in and he'll see that his friends are on the computer. So he'll start like being specific, like, how are you doing? Or, that's not how he does it, but
That's what he means.
exactly. So it's really quite fun because, we all get a chance to see him. He sees us, and not as good as in person, of course, but better than just by letter.
Mhm.
Do
And
you
then
have examples of like decisions that the group has come to, or like helped make better decisions, or I'm trying to I don't even know. Like I'm thinking I decided to go the route of guardianship for my daughter, but like could a circle kind of serve as not then going with guardianship? But what things have you decided as a group?
you know, we talk about options for Sean. I don't know that we don't really make collective decisions when I'm thinking about it. It's more the discussion is to keep everybody abreast of what's going on in Sean's life. So that, again, if I drop dead, they all know that on Tuesdays he goes to Mosaic. On Fridays Thursday he has independent class. You know, they know his schedule, they know what he's capable of, they know where he is. We discuss some logistical stuff, just how to make certain things happen for him. But I don't know that I would say it's really a decision. But I don't know why it couldn't be in an individual circle with your people, you know, if you felt comfortable with their collective decision-making prowess.
I like that it's formal but informal, so it's natural, it's all natural support. So it's not like this, oh, let's vote that he has to do this, or, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that
no.
makes sense that it's not decision making, that it's advice and sharing information so that people can be there to support him.
Yeah, it's more supportive in its nature. Although I would trust any of them at this point, I would trust any of them to tell me to do this with Sean, and I would be like, okay. Except you, Becky, and then I would say no.
Well, it's definitely brainstorming and collaboration, rather than, you know, saying what to do.
And then, like, we do a lot of information about helping Sean communicate. So Michelle, being the communication specialist, will help us identify, okay, this is what's happening. He's texting. How can we make it broader, more specific, or whatever she thinks from what she's seen, ways that we can help him. So, like, we're literally sharing, okay, this is what I've done recently with Sean. This is how it went. This was what didn't work well. And then she was talking about scaffolding last time, like trying to help him build on the conversation.
Well, I can think what Circle has done, and again, this is the support network. So is that Sean was texting inappropriately, if you know what I mean. And I had done everything I could to walk him out of doing that, but somehow he kept finding ways around that. So when we met at Circle, we discussed that and came up with brainstorming ideas that, here, try this, do this. And the people who he'd been texting people in Circle. So they would say, well, here's what he's sending me. And so how do I respond? And then it put us all on the same page so that he was getting the consistent message that was inappropriate. And so we were all responding to it the same, you know, this end of discussion. We aren't going to allow that. And it stopped. I think it stopped. You guys haven't gotten any, right? The one thing in Circle that of course we've been really blessed with the people is getting case managers to come is a challenge. We hold Circle at 7 in the evening because my daughter's in New York, so for her to be able to make it time zone and her work schedule, we have it at 7 in the evening. Case managers will tell me, oh, that's past my work hours, and they won't attend. And yet the very thing that they're supposed to be supporting, they can't make, which just floors me. Are you leaving, Colby? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Do you ever invite special guests? Like, have you ever approached them like, would you come quarterly or something, or twice a year or something to the meeting? Or because then it's not.
No, I have not tried that. It gets to feeling a little bit like begging.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's unfortunate because it could sure help their job, right?
Exactly. It would seem like it would be right up their alley, but boy, they are just slow to attend. So, and yet one of the fellows that attends a doctor, you know, we think he's a family friend. But he's a physician and he's got a busy schedule in life, but he manages sometimes, not every time, but on enough occasions that we know who he is, unlike the case manager.
That's great feedback too, as there's going to be new ongoing communication with Michelle Sturdivant at the central office is doing some conversations with families as well as self-advocates. And I think that's great feedback, is the flexibility in time for case managers, because our lives don't happen 9 to 5.
That's
So
right.
I'm going to remember that, to bring that up.
Yeah, yeah, that they can flex time that.
I think,
time.
I think this all goes along with the people that meet with Marla in the team and work with Sean. We're really vested in this young man that I worked with him for like 6 years in school. And when she said, oh, we'd have a chance to Zoom, it's like, oh, that sounds like fun. So for me, it's a learning experience still. How can I challenge myself to respond to him in a way that will encourage him? So we're all vested, the people that are doing this. Whereas a case manager, you would think there'd be some sense of that, but they're on the time clock and, you know, they have a different perspective perhaps.
Yeah, you're right, Monica, although I sure wish that they would, yeah, maybe it's pie in the sky thinking that they would be vested in our population.
I think I'm causing the freeze. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you. But you're frozen.
I think with case managers, they have so many cases that they're following that if they go too far beyond, they feel they're going to probably step off an edge and never be able to come back. I love the idea. I think it was Darcy maybe that just said it, about that flex time option. If case managers want to be involved in something like this, where, you know, the time that they spend off the clock is actually compensated for when they're on the clock. I don't know who makes those kind of rules or anything like that, but that could be a helpful, a helpful thing to bring up.
it would help, I think it would help our population in it for those that are doing circles of support, to have the case managers there, because it keeps them as well on the same page. Then we don't have to tell them what's going on in their lives, right? They get to live it with us. It's only every other month for an hour. It's not, but to me, it seems like it helped their job and make it easier. But I guess not. What do you think, Becky? Becky's she's not a case manager, but she's a social worker.
Do they work remotely?
Yes, they do.
I don't see why it wouldn't. For example, how we work remote and we are able to flex, like if we're not working during the. So I work for Peace as well, and we do it. I have another job, but I'm able to do that because it's flexible. But it worked for the families I support because they're not necessarily there 9 to 5 either. So I'm able to call them in the evenings and sometimes on the weekends, and they really appreciate that. So I don't see why they wouldn't be able to flex their time, if they wanted to.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. That's the way I work my schedule, and you'd be available for the families. But I think somebody mentioned they just have so many, they don't. I think they're only required to meet with them once a year. So they don't need to know, or don't think they need to know the day-to-day stuff, or need to get to know. And then the case is changed to someone else anyway. So they're just not as invested, I don't think.
It's the challenge.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do each of the people in the circle support have kind of a specified role? I know you have someone with communication and behavior and things like that. But is there anyone that, like I'll take lead on social stuff? Or it sounds like several of the people agree to reach out to Sean once a week or so. And be involved that way?
Yeah, you know, Sally, it's just starting to morph that way. It did not start that way. It started with all of us, all the people I invited initially were people that had a long-term relationship with our family or with Sean or both. And, but it's now morphing into that where people are taking on specific roles and wanting to do specific things to help this process along in support of Sean. And that's the part that I can't, this team has brought me to tears on more than one occasion. In just, wow, what people, it'll make me do it again. What people are capable of. This, you know, you ask and then what they're capable of giving, we as a human species. For one person, for one young man who can't speak for himself.
Well, support for Sean, but also for you. And that's
It is.
the big group that you know is there for you and will share their perspectives.
Right. Well, that's the same like with you, with yours, your loved ones, you know, that's what it can give you, is knowing that there's somebody else that can step in. And it's amazing when you get it going that they're willing to do it.
That's the hard thing is, I mean, I can identify some people, but it's a little scary to ask them to give up their time, even though I mean, you're asking them to give up their time. So, well, how did you do the ask?
Oh, yeah. I tend to be a kind of a person. I'm pretty much out, you know, I lay things on the line. That's just kind of the person. So I just went to him and I told him, this is what I'm wanting to do. And as I said, at first it was pretty unorganized. I didn't really know. They all came and then it was like, oh, dads are here. Now what? And so we all had to kind of shift it around or I had to start shifting around. And the first few times I had to be a one-man show. I had to basically talk nonstop. I had a little agenda list and, you know, talk about his speech and all his activities and who did what, you know, and then talk a little bit about my vision of what Circle could be. That was the initial times. And initially too, we also met once a month for, I don't know, I don't remember how long. Do you remember how long was it? Maybe a year we met once a month, and then we shifted it to every other month. So yes, and it was scary. That was the hardest part, Sally. You just nailed it. The asking. You know, you have to pretty well put your heart in your hand and offer it, because it's a heart thing, you know.
As a person who was asked, and Monica might be able to speak to this as well, I think that, you know, we're all living busy, somewhat challenging lives for whatever reason, right? And so when Marla reached out to ask, one of the things that she did really well that I think would help other circles is saying, you know, be there when you can be there. And if you can't be there a certain time, that's understandable. You got the idea that it was important to be there when you could be there, but also that it wasn't traumatic if you had to not be there a certain time or another certain time. Like Monica, you were hurt at some point. I was dealing with family issues at other points, right? Zach lost his mom. Where you've got that sense of, it's almost like you're providing support from a sort of a family friend, caring, even if it is professional background, to this family. But Marla also is able to extend that feeling of, my goodness, I understand your life is going on too at the same time. I think that makes it easier for people to say, okay, and to say, I can be a part of this, because they know if there's a moment when they can't be a part of it, it doesn't mean they have to throw the whole thing out of worry, that they can still be a part of it, but also have their fluctuations. So that support kind of goes both ways. And I think that's how Marla handled that, was a part of what helps to sustain this group of people. Monica, is it?
Yeah,
anything
that's,
like
I think
what
that's
you're
a
thinking?
good, yeah, that's a good way to say it. Because if we can't make it that day, then we know other people. Or it hasn't come up yet, but if there were a time that just didn't work, Marla would say, well, let's try it with another day. So we can come up with another, not another day, but another time and opportunity to meet.
And Darcy, no, most of these people were people that we had, the initial group was people I had long-term relationships with Sean, that had long-term, I should say, with Sean, because those were the people I felt comfortable. They understood what life I was leading. But over time now, the others that have come into the group are like Rebecca, Becky, she was reluctant to come on tonight because she says, well, I'm really new at the circle and I don't have that much to share. But the fact is, she's an angel in Sean's life. And because of that, she does have a lot to share and she needs to be in circle because she of the role, the new role for Sean in his life. It's ongoing. It's not a short-term thing. And then there's 3 others as well. That's the same thing. They're new to Sean's life, but one of them is a gal who has a son with a disability, but she takes Sean and it's not her son, it's a charge, that walking once a week. And she's vested, she never misses. And she'll, like, if she can't make our normal walking day, she changes the day so that she can always be there. So she's also in circle because she's vested in Sean's life. So those are the people that I find most valuable to be in the group, is because they care about Sean. And because they care about Sean, they care about me because I'm Sean's mom. And so it's win-win. It's all winning. It's great. These are great people.
I have a,
Go
oh,
ahead.
I
So
have a question.
Tanya, this is Monica, before you ask the question. Marla, we're just really curious what you're gonna do next. What trip
Well,
you're
I
gonna,
hope it's not drop dead.
no. They did this year, they've already been, let me think here. They just got back from Morocco. Where did you go before that? I've already lost track.
Iceland.
They were in Iceland just this year. So it's always like, we're always learning, okay, what's Marla up to this time? So we get to have some fun and also learn and share with Sean and Marla. Go ahead, Tanya. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
You're good. Thank you. So my question is, and I'm sorry if you addressed this in the beginning, but I have my kiddos here too, just kind of interrupting. How do you communicate with each other, and how do you send reminders by email, or like, I worry about those technicalities because it seems like a lot of people are like, well, I know I tend to forget and that kind of thing.
Well,
How do you coordinate?
Over time now, and I don't know, maybe the last 4 or 5 meetings, we've kind of set it to now be a Monday night, like the second Monday at 7 p.m. has become kind of a standard. So that's helped, like all of us, our schedules, we need that time to stay the same so we can get it. But before that, and even now that the meetings are, I set up a group text or a group email. And so it goes to Sean's Circle of Support. And all I have to do is click onto that group email, and then I type in the agenda that was on, and the time and the Zoom link, and I send it out. And then I send usually a reminder few days before. Yeah. And then like I say, so many of them I see them weekly anyway. Now, because they come together to meet with Sean, so they're on Zoom with Sean, and I'm able to don't forget meeting, don't forget circle on whatever day it is. So
Thank you.
That plus we're communicating with Sean and Marla during the week. So like when I do my Zoom, Marla will be there. And it's helpful because she will let me know things that has happened since I talked to him the previous time. Because he's still working on presenting the information in a way that makes sense. Like he was telling me they're gonna go next week. But early in the month, he was already excited about it, and it sounded like he was already there, or it was gonna happen like in a day or two. So I was able to, with Marla's knowledge of what's really happening, figure out, okay, how do I get him to be relating to this is going to happen 3 weeks from now on a certain date. So he can give you a certain day.
Right.
He knows that's what you're looking for. Otherwise, you're just like, oh, what's happening here? And so Marla will be there when I'm on Zoom. She doesn't stay with us, but she will be around. And beforehand, I'll try to ask her what's gone on that I need to maybe solicit some communication from him. So I think that also helps in Anya, in your question of how do we communicate, because we're in communication already. April's already, walking with them. Becky's around, Michelle's, and the sister once a week doing a Zoom. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and that's morphed over having circle meetings that we've been able to grow that. That weekly communication going with Sean, which is fantastic. I do need 2 computers now because meetings overlap sometimes.
So I wanted to jump back for a quick second in talking about reminding people. So you have some people that are going to meet with a person frequently, maybe every week or 2 weeks, or however it's set up. Hold on, I just did something not.
You're still there.
I know, I'm just not seeing any of you. I need technological help, guys.
I tell you, we're not techies.
But, one of the things that is nice is anybody who does have technology, tech knowledge. And I think that that's one thing that Kristen brings to our group, or other people. Mandy brings it to our group, Sean's sister. I think that having some of that tech knowledge is really helpful because tech is going to support any of our kids or adults that need help across the years. So people having tech support, having a couple of those people on your team is a really great thing to have. In terms of reminders, if you're not there every week, not only is it good to get that first email, but if there's some way to have auto reminders about the meeting, a day or 2 ahead. And again, on that day, anyone who knows how to set up those auto reminders, in answer to your question, Tanya, I think that that's really, really helpful because people do live busy lives. And a lot of times their intentions are right there. They're willing and happy to be there, but they have so much going on that they forget or they can't get there. So having tech people who could kind of set that up so that it goes a little bit smoothly is a great idea.
Also, just when you said that, one thing I should say about when the people I asked, when I was asking, because of my age, I tried to vary the age group across. That was probably even the harder part, was reaching out to the younger set, meaning my daughter and people her age, her cousins, to join Circle, because again, they are, even though my daughter's involved, but she lives in New York, so she doesn't really know her brother all that well. And so it's harder to bring them up to speed. And our cousins, it's harder to get them congealed because they're not they're just not as vested into the situation. However, I have to say, having had Circle, they've come, they are now really vested and really active. My daughter, who had never tried to talk to Sean on Zoom, is now coming with Michelle and talking on the computer with her, so that Michelle's kind of orchestrating the conversation, because Sean is not a conversationalist. So, but that's, you know what, a major thing that Circle has done is to bring his sister into it. And the cousin is, she's a tech whiz. She's the one we just look at and say, okay, you're on, because none of us know how to do these. She'll tell us to do certain things to make Sean's life better, but all of us don't know how to do it. You know, things on the computer or things on his phone that you can do to lock out, like when we were having problems with his inappropriate language or pictures. He was sending me inappropriate pictures. But she said, oh, just do this and this and this and lock this out. Like, okay, we'll send you his phone and you do that for us. But she's great, you know, so that's the importance of bringing in the younger generation. Is part of it is because we are old, you know, and Sean needs his peers as well as his those people that he loves and trusts, like Monica and Michelle and Becky. He loves you guys, but it's not like a peer, not like his cousin and sister who are our too.
And the peers need mentors as well. And that's where you get this gift of that multi-generational, multi-disciplinary, multi-relational thing. And when you start getting a couple of the people together, it creates this collaborative unit. It helps both people to grow. And I think that that's actually one of the things that has gone really well with Circle, is having that where you have, you know, different sets of people meeting in different ways to help this kid. And I think that each person grows from that connection as well. So there's almost like just a reward personally for being involved, because not only are you involved with Sean, you're involved with Marla, you're involved in either mentoring or being mentoring or collaborating or those kinds of things. And those are things that people draw toward once they get comfortable with the group that they're with, you know, in almost any setting. So that's another really nice thing about Circle.
Can I share a picture real quick? I think it will help you appreciate something about how fun this is.
Can you share on screen? I'm impressed.
Oh, hang on. Oh, there it is. I don't know if people can see that.
Oh,
That's Sean on a camel in Morocco.
Wow.
Can people see that? And what I think is so fun about that is, talk about communication. Marla was saying he didn't want to go on the camel. He's been on them twice now, when they were on this trip. And so he didn't want to go. So Marla, I think you were saying he kept saying, no, no, no. But he did it because he really respects his mom and will do what she wants him to do. And then I think it was she or the person that was with them said, we want to take your picture. And he stopped saying no, no, and posed. Which I think goes along, like Katie was saying something about, does he communicate? It's all because we've worked with him and know him and enjoy talking to him. Like we can see that event of like, oh, okay. When like Marla can push him and the rest of us kind of get a feeling of, okay, if I push too far, maybe I need to back off. You know, is he upset about something? Or like I was talking to him last Wednesday and Marla was having to deal with a lumber delivery at the same time. So she wasn't right in the room. And I was pushing him a little bit and you could tell he was starting to work on his fingers and get agitated. I'm like, okay, I need to back off. So that's partly, you know, because we've been working with each other so long, and Michelle's always great about giving us communication feedback, and Zach is the behavior specialist. He's given us feedback, and so, you know, it's all focused on this young man and how can we help him communicate, like rather than going into the finger biting, how can we get him to communicate like you and I might do? That really upset me, and you know, I need you to stop talking, or you've used too many words, back off, whatever.
It's true. That's just a blessing of what Circle has done overall for Sean. It's just that kind of level of support that you give him, Monica.
Monica had a really
Blessing.
good point there that I think would be beneficial for anyone else starting up Circle. Sharing the pictures. Marla, you do a really good job of sharing pictures and sharing what's going on in Sean's life. That gives every member of Circle, no matter what their role is, an idea of what Sean's life is. Because most of us are not there present to, you know, well, not most of us, but well, probably most of us actually are not there present day to day to know what's going on in his life. So if people are thinking of starting up a Circle for another individual, not necessarily a newsletter or anything, but occasional texts with some photos. Here's what's been happening. A quick email. This happened over the last couple of weeks. I think knowing the details of a person's life, like we know the details of Sean's life, helps every member of Circle to become more invested in not only that wonderful human being, but the important pieces of his life. And that's something that people in your Circle can connect to. Without that piece, I think it would be hard necessarily to connect as much. And Marla, I hadn't put my finger on that until just now as Monica was talking about it. So thank you, Monica.
I agree. I think that's even for me, the importance of Circle, and the hardest part is to put my life out there, and put Sean's life out there. But the fact that you do know helps you vest into his life and gives me the security that you're going to be there for him, that somebody besides me is going to be there. And that's just, as you guys know, the other parents, you guys know what exactly I'm talking about. There's a piece to that. I don't have a large family. That was the other part, you know, I don't know where you guys are, but I don't have a large family. My mom and dad are gone. I have one sister who, you know, she's nice enough, but we're not buddies. You know, I got one other daughter and no aunts and uncles left, and there's 4 cousins. That's it. So, you know, we just don't have, I really depend on Circle to function for him, to be there for him when I'm gone, so that they can do maybe not everything that I do, but certainly that they'll know him and he knows them. It's a nice piece.
I have a question for the group, because I know Marla invited us there, and I know it's called Peace Home. But are the ones besides the ones dealing with Sean or working with Sean, are you all in a relationship already of some kind? Is there a group? Is that where that Peace Home comes from?
So I can start to answer that. So Peace Northwest is an organization that's based out of Vancouver. So we support we help support and families navigate systems whose their family members have intellectual or developmental disabilities. we also support individuals with disabilities. But so I am employed by Peace, and Tanya is employed by Peace, but we're both parents.
Okay,
And so we host these information nights monthly and invite different speakers to come in and share wonderful things like what you guys have shared, because as family members and individuals, we're kind of all in that same boat where like what happens when we're gone and how do we put a life together or help support our sons and daughters to put a life together for when we're not here. And then I'll let everybody else say who they are.
So, okay, so I also work for Peace and I support multicultural families. And so, for example, this is just really inspiring because I host a cafe. So it's like a chat with moms on Friday evenings. And so I can take this idea to them and tell them all about the circle of support and what they can do to support each other as well. And I can also, because I was thinking, my gears were turning about how I know that sometimes as moms need support too, because for example, my executive functioning is not the greatest. And so if I gather other moms that are struggling with the same thing, we have millions of paperwork to fill out or appointments to make or emails to send. Like, why can't we just get together once a month and get those things done together, like over Zoom or something, and just support each other? This is very inspiring. So thank you.
Yay.
Is my microphone on? Can you hear me?
yes.
Oh, okay. Gosh, sorry about that. I guess I didn't realize that. I've been coughing and sneezing and all kinds of stuff over here. Tanya, I'm interested in your mom's group. Is that open to just any mom, or is there a certain age? Like, is it elementary school age or high school age?
So the Friday evenings is for moms of any kids of any age, and it's for Spanish speakers. So the whole group is in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
I
Gotcha.
know that we have one in person if you're here in Vancouver at the last Wednesday of each month, and it's the Wellness Wednesday hosted by Teresa. And that's at Stevens Place. And then that's kind of similar concept where it's a support group, but it's in person and you go, talk and fill up whatever it is that you need. Now, occasionally we have the online ones, but it seems like, people will come or they won't. And if they don't, then we kind of stop it. But if the need arises, we can create one as well. So, I mean, we're always open to, we mainly work with whatever the community needs. We will work to provide it.
I love it.
Okay. So I guess if I just Googled Wellness Wednesdays at Stevens Place, I could get more information on
I
that.
can post the link right here in the chat in a minute.
Okay, alrighty, thank you. And just a little bit about myself is I have a 22-year-old daughter, and I've been in Vancouver now for 2 years, but I still feel like I just moved here. But my daughter's living with me, and we too have a very small family. It's just me. I've been a solo parent since day one. My parents are gone. I don't have any siblings, so it is me and her, and that's it. So hearing about this group, I mean, I just got my application in for the DDA. And so I'm just getting started in this whole process here locally. So I think I'm still leagues away from being able to set up my circle of support. But it sounds like just a bunch of information that you've given, I'm going to be able to do something with anyway. So
Yeah,
I
I don't know,
appreciate
Susan.
you speaking tonight.
Well, thank you, Susan, but I don't think you're I don't think you have to be enrolled in DDA to start your circle. In fact, I would highly encourage you to do it before, because you can have someone to hold your hand while you go through the process. For
No,
one
I don't
thing.
know.
But
I don't know who it
the
would
people
be.
that know you and know what you're living is what it's about, and the support that can be offered now.
We don't have anybody. I mean,
I'll be
I've
there.
got 2 friends here.
I'll go.
Okay. But now you said you had doctors and caseworkers and
Well,
professionals
again, the
and
doctor is a friend, ends up being as a family friend, but I only met him 2 years ago. And I met him at a social function, didn't know that he was a doctor until later. And then I invited him on to Circle because I said, we need your medical. If I croak, I need that medical advice. He can't legally and ethically be Sean's or my doctor. It's just, I don't understand it. I don't try.
Right,
But he can advise. And he
right.
advises the group, and that, you might try this, you could look at this. So there's something
But
there.
that's the Marla group. She'll help draw people.
Yeah, I guess I keep thinking DDA is kind of my ticket to getting set up and established and get her doing something. She's not working or anything right now or going to school, and she hasn't been for a couple of years now. So it's time to get her, moving in that direction. Yeah, and I guess the DDA process is very lengthy. I put the application in about a month and a half ago. So I'm thinking, any idea how long that might take? Anybody?
It takes a while.
Yeah, 12
Oh,
weeks.
but then another thing too, that while I was filling out the application, I read on there that she needs to have been diagnosed before turning 18. And she was not diagnosed until 3 months after she turned 18.
Did
And
she
we
have
have
an
a problem with a
IEP
couple
in
of
school?
clients, too.
Yes, every year. Yeah.
Fight it.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
would fight it too.
I
Yeah.
know do you know of any other
Resubmit.
programs?
I
though,
was
that would-
talking to a family member the other day about that. I don't know exactly why it came up, but it was actually not the client I was working with, but her brother. And she ended up with custody of her brother when she was a very young woman. And she said they will decline for DDA due to things like lack of previous employment experience. I mean, just dumb stuff as far as I could tell. And she said, what you do is you reapply and then you reapply and then you reapply.
Oh my.
She
Wow.
did end up getting the DDA. Marla, you know so much more about that than me, but I don't know why I had that discussion with that mom, but it was probably for this moment. Reapply.
Agree.
So after I
And
get
I'll
her
see what
done
else I
with
can
the
find
appointment?
out about it if you're hooked up with Marla next time I
Okay.
talk to that mother, okay?
Okay. Do you know of any programs that, other than DDA, like say, we don't get it, period. Is there another avenue to get those kinds of services and such? I'd imagine there's got to be something, right?
There's aging can help with some of the things that if a person doesn't qualify for DDA. I can send you some stuff, Susan, that you can look at, and if you have questions, you can call Tanya or I.
I was
Okay.
about to
or
say we
anybody.
can help with that. So yeah.
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 Okay.
So, and I wouldn't be discouraged about DDA at this point. I would maybe call and make sure that they their eligibility person has your application in, just kind of every once in a while. The last I heard, it was taking like 6 months sometimes to get, depending on what area of the state you're in. So but I would check to see just that they because sometimes things sit if it's incomplete. And then you could find out when it's too late.
And they're
Okay, so
really
if I-
clear about that too. So if for any reason they deny or anything, that you will get a letter and they will have a contact information there too, and they will let you know what it was missing or what you need to do.
Okay.
You can either appeal or you can resubmit the application, but they're actually pretty clear about it. So, but it does take a while, and we can definitely help. I can help you check as well to see
Okay.
about your application.
Okay. And there's probably a phone number, I just Google that and I can get the phone number that I can call. I didn't think there would be a phone number I could call, but there
Yeah,
is, huh?
There is, but I might know somebody that I can email. So if you send me an
Oh.
email and I put it in there, yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Just a heads up, if anyone's not looking at the chat, I've been seeing some great things. Sally just shared something about DVR.
I don't know how to do that. I need to learn how to do that because I saw them pop up, but I have no idea how to get back to them.
So do you
Yeah,
have,
I don't
you
either.
actually have a screen like when
You mean chat function?
Yeah, so there's a chat on my screen. It's at the bottom. It says chat. So you just click on that. And now I have a scrolling, people can have communication. You can either communicate directly to one person or to everybody that's on the Zoom.
Oh, okay. No, I just had everyone's face, but if I tap on myself, then I can get that. Thank you, Monica.
Yeah, but it's great. I'm seeing all sorts of really great ideas there about when the parenting meets and email addresses for Tanya and Darcy and I'm not sure what DVR is. What's DVR, Sally?
It's either Department or Division of Vocational Rehab. But that's usually the first stop for our young adults for job exploration. And then they do the short-term supports, and then the funding for that goes to DDA. So you could be applying for DDA and DVR at the same time.
Okay, and now that would probably be the avenue to go for. I think, she would do well at a job, but she would need like a job buddy.
Yeah, job coach. And that's what DVR, that exploration with her and see what her interests are. And then like see what kinds of support she need. And then they provide that support for a few months. And then the funding gets flipped over to DDA for the long-term job coach support if that's needed.
Okay.
Does
Yeah.
she have an IEP right now? Is she still in school?
No, she's 22 now. She's out
Oh,
of high
okay.
school. Yeah, okay, well, thank you. Yeah, that's another thing that I want to check on too is, then also I recently discovered a group called I Embrace, where they do bowling and cooking and all that stuff. And so we want to get connected with that as well.
I can
Yeah.
help you with that too. Send me an email. Yeah.
Are you part of Embrace? I Embrace?
No, but they're part of the community, so I've worked with them. And then we also have a newsletter that goes out that I will add their information in there as well.
Okay, yeah,
Well,
all
the
right.
nice thing about I Embrace is I think you can private pay, but once DDA is involved, then it can be respite and DDA pay.
Oh, okay, yeah, good.
So, yeah.
What is this that somebody's putting up?
Darcy's so good at this.
So Peace has this document. We're in the process of making sure that everything's still current on it, but I'll send this to you as Susan. It's like the stuff you do like at high school transition time, but some of this is going to be very relevant, like just putting pieces together as far as
Okay.
contact and it's a
Yeah,
good
okay. That'd be great.
I know
Yeah,
the one
we
thing.
grew up my daughter grew up in a small town and they didn't have any resources available at the school. So she went through high school just on the IEP. And I always kind of suspected she was autistic, but and I spoke to her teachers about it. And anyway, we just didn't have any support until we moved away from there. And so we're just now getting this all figured out. And I feel like I'm 20 years behind. This is stuff I should have been doing 20 years ago, but
No.
it just wasn't
check in
available.
with Peace. Like we're your people. Tanya can help you.
That's what I need. I need some people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you make sure that so she's still young, so you can there's support out there. And I would, if you don't still have school records, I would reach out to the school district and get like her last IEPs and stuff, because they only keep them I think for 7 years or something. And that's good information to have.
I think I
if you didn't have the diagnosis.
think I have, yeah, a lot of that. I'll make a note.
You might even
Okay.
have in your emails if they have ever emailed it to you if you do a search. No, I don't
yeah.
delete my emails, so then I
Me
always do
either.
a search and I pull them up. So
Yep. Oh, it's funny though? I did about a month ago. I had like 1,000 emails in my inbox, and so I just went delete. At first, I've had this email for 20 years. It's the first time I've ever done that.
I've
So,
gotten to the point where I have to pay like $2 a month to Google because I went way over my storage.
oh,
Well, if you deleted it and you haven't done the delete forever, the second delete,
Yeah.
Some will
maybe I
still
can
be
still
there, but
find it.
whether 2 years ago for the IEP would be, I don't know for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Michelle, are you you're still, what age group of, are you working with? In 9 Mile? I think, did Marla say you're in 9 Mile?
You know, I started out with pediatrics, like primarily ages 2 to 7, but most of those people are getting right up about 16 to 25 now. So I'm in a learning process as well. I'm looking at becoming a DDA provider. Thanks to Marla, of course. She's rather dynamic. I would definitely have her on your team. Anybody who
She volunteered. Are you in the school district or are you,
No, I work with I have a private practice and then I work with a clinic here in town as well.
okay, I was just gonna say
so-
there's a transition, a lot of areas have like, transition networks or that talk about high school transition where there's schools as well as the county and DVR that have conversations about how to make transition better for that age of students. And so I'll send you the link to that meeting if you'd like to start attending in Spokane.
Well, I hope you would do that because I do need to learn more about it if I'm going to become a provider for that age level of individuals. And the paucity of people to help families in Spokane for that age level of kids is overwhelming when you start looking at our kids who just kind of get dumped. Our clinic keeps kids all the way through about 25, even though we're only supposed to keep them till 21. But it makes a huge difference because people used to think that, you know, kids that age couldn't continue to learn and develop their communication skills and develop their other skills. But we're seeing that the kids that we're working with from about 16 to 25 are making huge gains, just huge gains at that cognitive level. So yeah, I'm really interested. If you'll send that, that would be terrific.
All right.
All right.
So how's any more questions? Anybody?
Darcy, I'm just looking at Sally shared something about FAME, PHAME in Portland. What do they do, Sally?
It's an organization, a nonprofit that focuses on art and performance, music for people with disabilities. I have a friend in Vancouver who takes her son there, and she said it's very reasonably priced. I think he's doing photography and drumming, and there's different classes. It's
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Darcy and Tanya, for letting us visit and share what we've been doing with.
We love this. This is amazing. This is bravo to you guys. Thank you so much for coming and sharing, and you've inspired all of us.
Oh, good. Yay.
Oh, Darcy, one other question. This is Monica. Where do you get your funding from?
So different, we have some grants. We get some funding from the state as well for we have some parent to parent programs, which is a group that is parent to parent, so matching parents and support groups. And I'm gonna mute that. So kind of all over the place, right? Grants, there we take donations. We just got a huge grant from, there was a large trust that was established several years ago called the Dan Thompson Trust. And they put it out for, I guess, application a couple of years ago, and we got some funding to do some work in the area of housing, as well as we also got some funding through that grant. And then it went through that grant and then to Commerce, and we intend to buy a home in the Vancouver area where we could provide some, like a shared living model and for people with developmental disabilities. So, but what other sources of funding do we have, Tanya?
That's all. I'm like, I don't know, just know the county, and I
Yeah,
know that I really should be more
Counties, we
educated
get money
on
from the
that,
counties
but
as well.
Yeah, it's-
mhm.
yeah, and probably United Way. And probably Easter Seals. They tend to be
Possibly, yeah.
donors to those, to our population. In large amounts, United Way specifically, does, I mean, I don't know Peace, I just know generally, these are
Those are kind of the,
agencies that
um,
donate, grant money to our population of people. Which I wish I could write one, and I would write one for Sean.
My niece is looking into a grant. She'll be graduating out of dance at Western here in another year or so. And one of the things she wants to do is come back to Spokane and do some grant writing and get funded for a not just dance, but performing arts studio that incorporates, a diverse group of people rather than the people who can usually, afford and easily attend dance studios and that kind of thing. So apparently there are quite a few grants out there that address those kinds of needs, like making things more accessible to more people.
our county, I know in Spokane, our county developmental disabilities does uses millage funding and some they get funding through DEA to do employment, but they fund every year they have like extra money that they put towards these smaller grants that does just exactly that. Like people, oh, I want to start something that's specific and to this issue and it's inclusive and it addresses a need. So yeah, those are for her smaller grant needs when she starts her dance studio.
Great, thank you so much.
All right, thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. Go Team
you.
Sean.
Yes.
Good luck.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you
Bye.
very much.